The research vessel times gentle current times drifted through space like a floating garden. Its hull gleamed with soft blue light, and through the transparent sections, anyone could see the beautiful plants and art galleries inside. This was not a ship built for war. It was built for learning. Dr. Kira Moonwhisper pressed her webbed hands against the cool metal of the ancient artifact. The Zilani scientist had spent 3 months studying this strange crystal device, and she was no closer to understanding what it did. The warnings carved into its surface were clear enough, though. 17 different dead languages all said the same thing. Do not wake the guardians of the burning world. Another primitive energy weapon, said Dr. Coral Tidecaller, her research partner. These ancient species were always building weapons. They probably destroyed themselves with things like this. Kira's large, dark eyes studied the intricate crystal patterns. The Zilani had never needed weapons in their 400 years of space travel. When they met other species, they shared art and knowledge. When they found dangerous things, they studied them safely. Violence was something they read about in old historical files, not something they experienced. The energy readings are stable, said Technician Wave Gentleflow from his position at the scanning station. Whatever this device does, it seems dormant. We could try a low-power activation. The bridge of the times, gentle current times, was a peaceful place. Soft music played in the background. The walls showed pictures of beautiful underwater cities back on the Zilani homeworld. The crew moved with the graceful, flowing motions of people who had never known fear or anger. Begin the activation sequence, Kira decided. Keep all safety systems active. If we see anything dangerous, we shut it down immediately. The crystal began to glow. At first, it was just a soft blue light, like moonlight on water. But as the power increased, the light became brighter and more urgent. Strange symbols appeared in the air around the device, spinning faster and faster. Dr. Moonwhisper called the ship's communications officer. I'm detecting some kind of transmission. The device is sending out a signal. What kind of signal? Kira moved to the communications console, her movements quick with worry. It's a distress call, but not in any language I recognize. The computer is trying to translate it now. The translation appeared on the screen in the gentle, flowing script of the Zilani language. Help! Monsters from the void are coming to destroy us all. Send warriors. Send guardians. The burning world's children must come. Kira felt her blood turn cold in her veins. Shut it down now. But it was too late. The crystal device was now pulsing with its own power. The distress signal was being broadcast across dimensions. The stress signal, reaching into spaces the Zilani had never imagined existed. Far away, in a different dimension entirely. Admiral Jin Starfire was reviewing training reports aboard the Earth Defense Force battlecruiser Times. Indomitable Asterisk. The humans had been conducting routine military exercises when every communications system on every ship suddenly screamed with an urgent priority signal. Admiral, we're receiving a distress call, reported Communications Officer Lee Stormwind. Origin unknown. The signal is coming through dimensional space. Jin's dark eyes grew serious. She had spent 20 years defending Earth and its colonies. She knew what a real cry for help sounded like. Put it on speakers. The translated message filled the bridge. Help! Monsters from the void are coming to destroy us all. Sir, said Captain Park Ironheart, the Universal Ethics Protocol requires immediate response to any extinction-level threat call. Jin nodded. The protocol was clear. Any species facing total destruction got help, no questions asked. Signal all ships in the fleet. Emergency jump preparations. We're going in. The Earth Defense Force had 847 ships spread across 3 star systems for the training exercise. Massive dreadnoughts that could crack planets, fast destroyers built for hit-and-run attacks, carriers full of fighter craft, support ships loaded with marines and heavy weapons. all of them began powering up their dimensional jump drives. Back on the Time's gentle current asterisk, the Zelani crew watched in growing terror as their peaceful research mission turned into a nightmare. The space around their ship began to tear apart. Reality itself was bending as something massive approached from another dimension. "Dr. Moonwhisper," whispered Technician Gentleflow. "Sensors are detecting multiple large objects approaching. Very large objects." The first ship to emerge from the dimensional rift was a human destroyer called Time's Swift Justice Asterisk. To the Zelani, it looked like a weapon given shape and purpose. Its hull was covered in armor plating and gun turrets. Every line of its design spoke of violence and war. But the Time's Swift Justice Times was just the beginning. More ships kept coming. Cruisers that dwarfed the Zelani research vessel. Battleships that looked like mobile fortresses. Carriers that launched swarms of fighter craft that moved like angry insects. "By the gentle currents," breathed Dr. Tidecaller. "What have we done?" The human fleet assembled around the Time's gentle current times in perfect military formation. 847 ships arranged in defensive patterns. Their weapons powered, but not yet aimed at anything. They had come expecting to fight monsters. Instead, they found a single, peaceful research vessel surrounded by empty space. Admiral Starfire's voice came over the communication channels. The universal translator made her words understandable, but nothing could hide the controlled power in her tone. "Unknown vessel. This is Admiral Jin Starfire of the Earth Defense Force. We received your distress call. What is your status? Where are the hostile forces?" Dr. Moonwhisper's hands trembled as she activated the communication system. Her species had never spoken to warriors before. She did not know how to talk to people who carried weapons and traveled in ships designed for battle. "Please," she whispered into the communication device. "Please, don't hurt us. We were only trying to study the artifact. We didn't know it would summon warriors." The silence that followed seemed to last forever. On 847 human ships, crews that had expected to fight monsters instead realized they had been accidentally summoned by frightened scientists. The crystal device continued to pulse with light, and somewhere in the space between galaxies, something ancient and hungry began to stir. Admiral Jin Starfire stared at the peaceful research vessel floating in the center of her battle formation. Every ship in the Earth Defense Force was ready for war, but the only other vessel in the system looked like it had been built for studying flowers, not fighting monsters. "Captain Lee Thunderheart," she said to the commander of the destroyer Time's Swift Justice Asterisk. "Take a small diplomatic team and board that ship. We need to understand what's happening here." Captain Thunderheart was the right choice for first contact. Before joining the military, she had been a diplomat. She knew how to talk to aliens without scaring them. "Yes, sir. I'll take a peaceful approach." On the Time's gentle current asterisk, Dr. Kira Moonwhisper watched the human ships with growing fear. Each vessel was larger than her entire research station back home. Their dark hulls were covered with weapons she could not even name. But the scariest part was how organized they were. These were not pirates or raiders. These were professional soldiers. Dr. Moonwhisper called her communications officer. "One of their ships is requesting permission to dock. They say they want to talk." Kira's hands shook as she gave permission. What choice did she have? The humans had enough firepower to destroy 100 worlds, and she had accidentally called them here. The docking process was gentle. The human shuttle connected to the Zelani airlock without any damage. When the doors opened, Captain Thunderheart stepped through wearing a simple uniform with no visible weapons. She was followed by 2 other humans who also carried no guns. "Dr. Moonwhisper?" Captain Thunderheart's voice was calm and respectful. "I'm Captain Lee Thunderheart. We came because we received a distress call. Are you in immediate danger?" Kira had never seen a human before. Captain Thunderheart was shorter than a Zelani, with strange, dry skin and no gills. But her eyes were kind, and she moved carefully, like someone trying not to frighten a small animal. We activated an ancient device, Kira explained, leading the humans to the artifact chamber. It sent out a signal we didn't expect. We're not soldiers. We're scientists. We study old things. Captain Thunderheart examined the still glowing crystal device. Her technical specialist, Sergeant Kim Brightstar, ran a scanner over it while muttering under his breath. "Captain," said Sergeant Brightstar, "this thing is still active. It's sending out signals into dimensional space. Multiple frequencies, multiple destinations." "What kind of signals?" asked Captain Thunderheart. "Distress calls, mostly. But there's something else. It's also sending out location data. Whatever this device was calling for help against, it now knows exactly where to find us." Dr. Moonwhisper felt her heart skip a beat. "You mean the monsters are real? The void creatures, mentioned in the warnings?" Before anyone could answer, the Time's Gentle Currents Times sensor officer called from the bridge. "Dr. Moonwhisper, we're detecting massive energy signatures approaching the system. Multiple contacts, very large, moving at impossible speeds." Captain Thunderheart activated her communication device. "Admiral, we have a problem. The artifact is still active, and it's brought something else. Multiple, large contacts approaching fast." Admiral Starfire's voice came back immediately. "All ships, battle stations, unknown contacts. We need identification now." The human fleet moved like a living thing. Ships that had been in loose formation suddenly arranged themselves in tight defensive patterns. Weapons that had been powered but not aimed suddenly began tracking the approaching signals. Dr. Moonwhisper and Captain Thunderheart rushed to the bridge of the Time's Gentle Current Asterisk. On the main display, they could see the human ships preparing for battle with frightening efficiency. But they could also see what was coming from the dark spaces between stars. The things emerging from dimensional space were nightmares given form. They were not ships, in any normal sense. They were living creatures the size of moons, covered in what looked like feeding tentacles and mouthparts. Their hulls pulsed with organic rhythms, and they moved through space like swimming predators. "Void devourers," whispered Dr. Moonwhisper, reading from the ancient database connected to the artifact. "Planet eaters. They consume entire star systems and use the energy to travel between galaxies. They've been sleeping in the spaces between universes for millions of years." "How many?" asked Captain Thunderheart. The Zelani sensor officer's voice shook as he answered. 12 large ones. Each one bigger than our largest space station. And they're launching smaller units. All 44. All 44. Hundreds of them." Captain Thunderheart spoke into her communicator with the calm voice of a professional soldier. "Admiral, we have identification on the hostiles. Planet-eating bioships. Ancient and extremely dangerous. The locals call them void devourers." Admiral Starfire's response was immediate and decisive. "All ships. Red alert. Protect the civilian vessel. At all costs. Rules of engagement are weapons-free on all hostile contacts. We're dealing with a xenocidal swarm." Dr. Moonwhisper had never heard the term xenocidal before, but she understood it immediately. These creatures killed entire species. They had done it before, and they would do it again. "Captain Thunderheart," she said urgently, "your people should run. Get your ships away from here. This was our mistake. You don't have to die for it." Captain Thunderheart looked at her with something like surprise. "Dr. Moonwhisper, we came here because someone called for help. We don't abandon people who are in trouble. That's not what we do." The first Void Devourer reached weapons range of the human fleet. Instead of immediately attacking, it stopped. Its massive bulk hung in space like a diseased moon, studying the 847 human warships arranged in perfect defensive formation around the small research vessel. On the bridge of the Times, indomitable asterisk, Admiral Starfire watched the standoff develop. In 20 years of military service, she had never seen anything like the Void Devourer ships. They were clearly alive, clearly intelligent, and clearly designed for only one purpose: eating everything they encountered. "Sir," reported her tactical officer, "the lead bioship is scanning us. It seems confused, like it's never seen anything like our response pattern before." Admiral Starfire nodded grimly. "It probably hasn't. Most species probably run when they see those things coming. Or surrender. Or just die. They've probably never had anyone stand up to them before." The ancient crystal device on the Times' gentle current Times suddenly pulsed with new light. New symbols appeared in the air around it, spinning faster than before. "Doctor." Moonwhisper watched the translation appear on her screens. "The guardians of the burning world have awakened," she read aloud. "The test is beginning. Let the void tremble before those who protect the innocent." Captain Thunderheart and Dr. Moonwhisper looked at each other as the implications became clear. The artifact had not just sent a distress call. It had been testing the galaxy, looking for a species capable of standing against the Void Devourers. Humanity had just passed the test. The largest Void Devourer suddenly pulsed with angry red light and began moving toward the human fleet. Its feeding tentacles extending like the arms of a nightmare octopus reaching for prey. The first Void Devourer moved through space like death itself. Its massive biohull, larger than most human space stations, pulsed with sickly light as feeding tentacles reached toward the human fleet. These creatures had consumed 1,000 civilizations across millions of years. They expected this encounter to end like all the others, with fear, surrender, and feeding. They were wrong. Admiral Jin Starfire's voice cut through the communication channels of 847 human warships with the calm authority of someone who had spent her life preparing for exactly this moment. "All ships, engage. Target the tentacles first, then the main body. Protect the civilian vessel at all costs." The human fleet opened fire as one. The space around the Void Devourer erupted in light and fire as hundreds of weapons struck its biohull simultaneously. Plasma cannons designed to crack asteroid fortresses. Kinetic rounds that could punch through moon-sized targets. Energy beams that could cut through starship armor like paper. The Void Devourer screamed. It was a sound that traveled through space itself, bypassing the normal rules about sound not carrying in a vacuum. Every human who heard it felt their bones vibrate with the creature's pain and rage. But instead of retreating, they pressed their attack harder. On the bridge of the Times' gentle current asterisk, Dr. Kira Moonwhisper watched the battle in amazement and horror. The humans fought like they had been born for war. Their ships moved in perfect coordination, each captain knowing exactly where every other ship would be and what it would do. "How do they do that?" she whispered to Captain Lee Thunderheart. "How do they stay so calm while fighting for their lives?" Captain Thunderheart kept her eyes on the tactical display. "We're not fighting for our lives, Dr. Moonwhisper. We're fighting for yours." The wounded Void Devourer tried to retreat, but the human destroyers were already moving to cut off its escape route. Captain Park Ironheart, commanding the battlecruiser Times Righteous Thunder asterisk, led a squadron of heavy ships in a flanking maneuver that would have impressed any military academy instructor. "Target their propulsion organs," Admiral Starfire commanded. "Don't let them run. If even one escapes, it will bring back thousands more." But the humans had only hurt the first Void Devourer. There were 11 more behind it, and they were no longer hesitating. Seeing their advance scout under attack, the entire swarm began moving forward. The second wave hit the human fleet like a tsunami of living nightmares. Bioplasma beams that could melt through ship armor struck human vessels. But the crews did not panic. Damage control teams went to work immediately while their ships continued fighting. Captain Storm Brightblade, commanding the assault carrier times Iron Resolve *, watched one of the smaller Void Devourers wrap its feeding tentacles around a human frigate. Instead of ordering the frigate to retreat, she made a decision that would become legendary in human military history. All fighters, launch. Boarding teams, prepare for assault operations. We're going inside that thing. Dr. Moonwhisper could not believe what she was seeing on the tactical displays. They're boarding the creature? They're going inside it, on purpose? Captain Thunderheart nodded grimly. That frigate has 200 people on it. We don't abandon our own. Human fighter craft swarmed around the massive Void Devourer like angry insects. But these were not ordinary fighters. Each one carried boarding pods filled with human marines in powered armor. As Dr. Moonwhisper watched in disbelief, the fighters dove directly toward the creature's feeding mouths. The Marines went to work with the methodical efficiency of people who had trained for boarding operations their entire careers. They planted explosive charges on the creature's internal organs, while under fire from its immune systems. They cut their way through bio-corridors, filled with digestive acid. They fought tooth and claw against antibody creatures that tried to stop them. Within 30 minutes, the Void Devourer was dead from the inside out. But the battle was far from over. The remaining 10 creatures had learned from watching their companions die. They began using new tactics, spreading out to avoid the humans' coordinated fire and trying to surround the defensive formation around the Time's gentle current *. Admiral Starfire realized the terrible truth as she watched the enemy movements. They're learning. These things are adapting to our tactics in real time. On the research vessel, Dr. Moonwhisper worked frantically with the ancient artifact, trying to understand what her people had accidentally awakened. The crystal device was showing her historical records from civilizations that had faced the Void Devourers millions of years ago. Captain Thunderheart, she called urgently. The artifact is showing me something important. These creatures have a weakness. They've never fought anyone who fights harder when protecting others than when protecting themselves. Captain Thunderheart looked at the tactical display where human ships were taking damage to keep the Time's gentle current times safe. What do you mean? 1. Every species they've encountered has become more desperate as they lost ships and people. Desperation makes creatures fight for themselves, try to save themselves. But humans get more dangerous when they're protecting someone else. The truth of Dr. Moonwhisper's words became clear as the battle continued. Human captains who would have retreated to save their own ships instead moved closer to the enemy when the Time's gentle current times was threatened. Crews who might have surrendered to save their own lives instead fought harder when they saw the peaceful research vessel in danger. The Void Devourers had never encountered anything like it. Their feeding strategies were built around prey animals that became selfish and panicked when threatened. They could not understand an enemy that became more united and more dangerous as the situation grew worse. Admiral Starfire watched the largest Void Devourer, clearly the leader of the swarm, position itself for a direct attack on the research vessel. It had learned that the humans would sacrifice anything to protect the peaceful aliens. All ships, she commanded. That big one thinks it's found our weakness. Let's show it how wrong it is. Full assault on the alpha creature. Everything we have. The human fleet concentrated its fire on the massive leader. But even as they did, sensors detected something that made Admiral Starfire's blood run cold. "Sir," reported her tactical officer, "long-range sensors are detecting massive energy signatures approaching from outside the galaxy. Hundreds of them. This wasn't an invasion force. This was just a scouting party." Dr. Moonwhisper's face went pale as she realized what the readings meant. The artifact. It's still broadcasting. Every moment we fight here, it's telling more of them where to find us. The ancient crystal device pulsed with new light, and a message appeared in the air above it. Phase 1 complete. The Guardians have proven themselves. Phase 2 begins now. All species of the galaxy must choose. Unite under the protection of the burning world's children, or face the void alone. Captain Thunderheart looked at Dr. Moonwhisper with grim understanding. This isn't just about your people anymore, is it? The entire galaxy is about to face the same choice we did. As if in response to her words, communication signals began flooding the space around them. Every species in the galaxy had detected the massive battle. And now they all had the same question. Who were these warriors who had come from another dimension to fight monsters? The real war was just beginning. The communication channels exploded with incoming signals from across the galaxy. Every species that had detected the massive battle wanted to know the same thing. Who were these unknown warriors? And could they help defend against the approaching nightmare? Admiral Jyn Starfire found herself speaking to representatives of 12,000 different species, all calling at once. The gentle singers of Andromeda, whose voices could heal wounded minds. The crystal engineers of the Seventh Ring, who built cities inside stars. The tree shepherds of the growing worlds, who had turned entire planets into living forests. All of them were afraid. Unknown Fleet, came the transmission from Eternal Speaker Jyoti Crystal Song, leader of the Galactic Harmony Collective. We have detected your battle with the Void creatures. Our sensors show a massive invasion force approaching from dark space. We formally request military assistance for all member species. Dr. Kira Moonwhisper, translated for Admiral Starfire, explaining that the collective represented every peaceful species in the galaxy. They've never fought a war, she said. Their ships don't even have weapons. They solve problems by talking and sharing art. Admiral Starfire looked at the tactical display showing hundreds of massive Void Devourer bioships approaching from the edge of the galaxy. Then she looked at the readings showing thousands of defenseless civilian vessels scattered across 12,000 worlds. All species of the Galactic Harmony Collective. She broadcast on all frequencies. This is Admiral Jyn Starfire of the Earth Defense Force. We accept your request for protection. Send us your ship positions and population centers. We're going to teach you how to survive. What followed was the largest military operation in galactic history. Human ships scattered across known space, each one racing to protect alien worlds that had never known war. The humans brought something the peaceful species had never seen. The absolute certainty that some things were worth fighting for. Captain Storm Brightblade took her assault carrier times Iron Resolve times to the crystal cities of Vega Prime, where the inhabitants lived in beautiful glass towers that would shatter at the first enemy attack. She spent 3 days teaching crystal engineers how to build shields and bunkers, while her marines showed them basic defensive tactics. We don't want to hurt anyone, explained City Leader Prism Lightweaver, her crystal body shifting colors with worry. Violence is against everything we believe. You don't have to hurt anyone, Captain Brightblade replied patiently. But you do have to protect your children. Sometimes, protection means being ready to fight. On the water world of Tidal Paradise, Captain Lee Thunderheart worked with the Flowing Minds Collective, an aquatic species that made decisions by swimming in perfect harmony. Their planet was completely defenseless against an enemy that could drain oceans. We will build underwater shelters, decided current leader Song of Depths after consulting with his people. And we will learn to use the human defensive tools. Our children's safety is worth learning new ways. Dr. Moonwhisper became the bridge between species, traveling from world to world with human military advisors. Her gentle nature helped alien civilians understand that the humans were not conquerors. They were guardians. They fight like they love something more than they love themselves, she explained to a gathering of collective leaders. They don't want to rule us. They want to protect us. I've seen it myself. But the humans were not just teaching. They were learning too. The peaceful species of the galaxy had developed technologies that could help in the coming war. The singing crystals could amplify human communication systems. The tree shepherds could grow living armor that was stronger than metal. The deep thinkers could process tactical information faster than any human computer. Working together, they turned the galaxy into a fortress. When the Void Devourer invasion force finally arrived, they found a galaxy they did not recognize. Peaceful research stations now bristled with human weapons. Beautiful art ships carried human marines. Garden worlds had become military bases where flowers grew next to missile launchers. The first major battle took place at Haven's Gate, a peaceful trading station at the edge of collective space. The humans had spent 2 weeks turning it into a military fortress, but they had done it carefully. The aliens' art galleries remained untouched. The meditation gardens still bloomed. The concert halls still played beautiful music. The void devourers attacked, expecting to find helpless prey. Instead, they found a coordinated defense that combined human military doctrine with alien innovation. Crystal shields that could absorb bioplasma. Living armor that healed itself when damaged. Weapons that sang as they fired, turning the battle into a deadly symphony. But the real surprise came when the peaceful aliens began fighting alongside the humans. Not with weapons, but with their own unique abilities. The Harmony Singers used their voices to disrupt Void Devourer communications. The Garden Walkers released clouds of spores that confused the creatures' biological sensors. The Deep Swimmers used their ability to think as one mind to coordinate the defense better than any computer system. Admiral Starfire watched the battle from the command bridge of the Time's indomitable Asterisk, now surrounded by alien representatives from a dozen species. Each one was contributing to the defense in their own way. "Admiral," reported Captain Thunderheart from the front lines, "the enemy is retreating. They can't handle our combined tactics. Human military strategy with alien support capabilities is proving extremely effective. But the victory at Haven's Gate was just the beginning. The Void Devourers had thousands of bioships, and they were learning to adapt to the new galactic defense. They began attacking multiple worlds at once, forcing the humans to spread their forces thin. The decisive moment came when the Void Devourers launched a massive assault on Earth itself. The ancient artifact had given them the location of humanity's homeworld, and they wanted to cut off the head of the resistance. What they found when they emerged from dimensional space around Earth was not just the human home fleet. It was representatives from every species in the galaxy, all united under human military command. Crystalline ships from Vega Prime flew alongside Zelani research vessels. Tree Shepherd living ships fought next to human dreadnoughts. The entire galaxy had come to defend the warriors who had protected them. Dr. Moonwhisper stood on the bridge of the Times. Gentle, current Asterisk, now armed with human weapons but still filled with gardens and art. "Admiral Starfire," she said, "my people have something to say to yours." The communication channels filled with voices from across the galaxy. 12,000 species, speaking as one. "People of Earth, you came to the darkness between stars to protect strangers. You gave your lives to guard our children. You taught us that peace is not the absence of war. Peace is having guardians who will stand between the innocent and the dark. We name you our protectors, our shield bearers, our defenders of the light." Admiral Starfire felt tears in her eyes as she responded. "All species of the galaxy, you honor us. But remember this, we are not your rulers. We are your guardians, and guardians serve those they protect." The final battle was won not through superior firepower, but through something the Void Devourers could never understand: love. The humans fought with the desperate fury of parents protecting their children. The aliens supported them with the gratitude of a people who had found their protectors. When the last Void Devourer bioship was destroyed, the galaxy was forever changed. The ancient artifact sent out one final message across all dimensions. The test is complete. The Guardians have proven themselves. Let all who dwell in darkness know. The Deathworlders stand watch, and they are not afraid. 6 months after the final Void Devourer fell, the galaxy was a different place. The Galactic Harmony Collective had become the Galactic Defense Collective. And for the first time in 800 years, peaceful species were learning the art of war. Dr. Kira Moonwhisper stood in the main hall of the Academy of Protective Sciences, watching human instructors teach alien students how to defend their homes. The academy had been built on the neutral world of Haven's Rest, and it was unlike any school in galactic history. "Today we practice shield formations," announced Captain Lee Thunderheart to a class of mixed-species students. "Remember, we're not trying to win battles. We're trying to save lives." The students were an amazing sight. Crystal beings from Vega Prime learned to coordinate with tree shepherds from the growing worlds. Aquatic Zilani worked alongside gas cloud dwellers from the deep nebula. All of them were learning human military tactics, but adapted for defense rather than conquest. "Captain Thunderheart," asked a young crystal student named Prism Brightshine, "why do humans call their homeworld a death world? Your planet seems beautiful in the recordings." Captain Thunderheart smiled gently. "Earth is beautiful, but it's also dangerous. We evolved on a world where everything was trying to survive. Predators, storms, earthquakes, diseases. It taught us that sometimes you have to fight to protect what you love." The crystal student's surface shifted to a thoughtful blue color. "So humans learned to fight because you learned to love?" "That's right," said Captain Thunderheart. "We don't fight because we're angry. We fight because we care." Admiral Jin Starfire walked through the academy with a sense of pride and wonder. The humans had expected to be seen as conquerors or overlords after the war. Instead, they found themselves teachers and protectors. The grateful alien species had asked them to stay, not as rulers, but as guardians. In the advanced tactics classroom, Captain Storm Brightblade was teaching a mixed group of alien officers about boarding operations. "The most important rule," she explained, "is that you never abandon crew members. Ever. Even if it costs you the battle." A tree shepherd student raised a branch-like arm. "But Captain, wouldn't it be more logical to sacrifice a few, to save many?" Captain Brightblade's expression grew serious. "That's not how humans think. Every person matters. Every life has value. The moment we start treating people as expendable, we become the enemy." The alien students exchanged glances. This was what made human military doctrine so different from anything they had imagined. The humans fought harder for others than they did for themselves. Dr. Moonwhisper made her way to the memorial garden at the center of the academy. Here, beautiful flowers from 100 worlds grew around a simple monument listing the names of every being who had died fighting the Void Devourers. Human names were mixed with alien ones, all honored equally. Admiral Starfire found her there, reading the names of fallen friends. "Dr. Moonwhisper, the Collective Council is meeting today. They want to discuss expanding the academy system." Dr. Moonwhisper looked up from the memorial. "More academies? How many do they want to build?" "One for every major system. They want to make sure that if something like the Void Devourers ever returns, the galaxy will be ready." They walked together toward the council chambers, passing through sections of the academy that showed how much the galaxy had changed. In the engineering labs, human military designers worked with alien scientists to create new types of defensive systems. The result was technology that neither species could have developed alone. The communication arrays combined human strategic thinking with alien harmony singers who could coordinate fleets across vast distances through pure sound. The new ships used human armor designs with tree shepherd living hulls that could heal themselves when damaged. The weapons systems were purely human in concept, but used alien crystal focusing technology to be more precise and powerful. Admiral Starfire called Eternal Speaker Jyoti Crystal Song as they entered the council chamber. The leader of the Galactic Defense Collective was a being of pure crystalline light, beautiful and ancient. "We have received disturbing reports from deep space sensors." Admiral Starfire took her place at the council table, surrounded by representatives from 12,000 species. "Something is responding to the ancient artifact's final message," explained deep thinker Cosmos Mindweaver, a gaseous being whose thoughts moved faster than light. We're detecting dimensional rifts opening in distant galaxies. It seems our victory against the Void Devourers has attracted attention from other realities. Dr. Moonwhisper felt her heart skip a beat. Good attention or bad attention? Both, replied Song of Depths, the aquatic representative. Some of the signals appear to be distress calls from species fighting their own versions of the Void Devourers. Others appear to be predators who are curious about what destroyed such a powerful enemy. Admiral Starfire processed this information with the calm of a professional military officer. So we're going to be receiving requests for help from other dimensions, and we're also going to be targeted by things that want to test themselves against us. That appears to be correct, confirmed Speaker Crystal Song. The council chamber fell silent as representatives from thousands of species considered the implications. They had just finished one war, and now they were being told that bigger challenges were coming. Dr. Moonwhisper stood up slowly. I think I know what we do, she said quietly. We do what humans taught us to do. We protect the innocent, whether they're in our galaxy or any other. Admiral Starfire smiled with pride at her alien friend. Dr. Moonwhisper is right. We didn't become guardians just for our own galaxy. We became guardians because guardianship is what we do. End quote. Captain Thunderheart's voice came through the communication system from the Academy training grounds. Admiral, we're receiving multiple dimensional distress calls right now. Several species asking for help against extinction-level threats. Admiral Starfire stood and looked around the council table at representatives from thousands of peaceful species who had learned to be warriors when necessary. All Academy ships, prepare for dimensional deployment. It seems our teaching mission is about to become a rescue mission. Admiral, asked Dr. Moonwhisper, what do we call this new organization? We're not just the Galactic Defense Collective anymore. We're something bigger. Admiral Starfire thought for a moment, then smiled. We're the Interdimensional Protective Service. We stand between the innocent and the dark, no matter which reality they're in. The ancient artifact, now displayed in the Academy's main hall, pulsed with gentle light as it detected the decision. New symbols appeared around it, broadcasting a message across all dimensions. The guardians of the burning world have accepted their calling. All who cry out in darkness know that help is coming. The Deathworlders stand watch across all realities. Dr. Moonwhisper watched human ships begin launching from the Academy docks, each one crewed by mixed human-alien teams heading into unknown dimensions to help strangers they had never met. Do you think we'll be able to protect everyone, Admiral? Admiral Starfire watched the ships disappear into dimensional rifts, carrying hope to species that had never imagined rescue was possible. We'll try, Dr. Moonwhisper. And for humans, trying to protect others is the same as succeeding. Because, as long as we're willing to stand between the innocent and the dark can never truly win. The Academy continued its work, training new guardians for an infinite number of realities. And somewhere in the spaces between dimensions, the word spread. The Deathworlders had come to the multiverse, and they were not afraid.